right, so here's a quick rundown of answering one possible objection of how valuable can it be to get just one little property that makes $250 a month. Well, the answer is it's incredibly valuable, more than you might imagine. And I'm posting a link to a podcast on this theme from one of my favorite real estate podcasts. But I wanted to show you just a simple projection that you can use. And it's basically like this. Let's say we're starting in the year 2024 and we're making $250 a month. And this is our first year investing. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we are 30 years old. This formula here is about a 4% increase on rents per year, every year, year over year. Sometimes it might be a little bit more, sometimes it might be a little bit less, sometimes you might lower rents, but for the sake of argument, we're making a smooth line. And so you can see by 10 years from now, and by the way, 4% increase in profits is less. It's actually more like 6 or 8 or 10% increase in profits with a 4% increase in rents. This spreadsheet does not reflect that. This is just a simple, imagine you're getting 4% better profits every year. By 10 years, you're getting $400 a month in profit. Every single month, that's almost $5,000 a year compared to $3,000 a year the first year. And then by 20 years, it's $645, as the 4% increase used to be only $10, but by the end, it's actually more like $25. So there's that compounding increase. Now, again, will this be much higher in 20 years? Probably. But let's just assume that it's only that pace. This is our first deal. You can use the spreadsheet to put in your second deal if you do decide to get another property 2 or 3 years in, or next year, or 2 in 1 year. But this is just, again, assuming how much that one house is worth. I went ahead and put in a calculation for inflation adjusted dollars. So roughly 2% inflation a year, compounding over years 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., means that the value of your dollar is being chipped away. But still, you're maintaining that absolute value of right near $250 each year that you are keeping this property, which means that as inflation goes up, your property value is going up, or your property income is going up by that much and a little bit more. So at the end of 20 years, you're making $374 in today's dollars, but given that the whole economy is inflated by that point, you're making $645 a month. Now, let's look at the other factors. The value of the house. Let's suppose that this house in this particular area is appreciating at 6% a year, compounding year over year, every year for 20 years. You start with a $100,000 house, and that home value doubles by the year 2036, but it goes up another 100,000 within 9 years from that. So, or within 6 years from that. So your home is worth $320,000. And then here's the other factor. The mortgage is going down from, let's suppose you put 20% down and you have $80,000 mortgage on a $100,000 house. At the same time as the value goes up, the mortgage goes down. Value goes up, mortgage goes down. Value goes up, mortgage goes down. You'll notice the mortgage calculation here is only going down about 1% a year, which is not that much, and it might be a little bit less than this after 20 years because the principal does increase. But I'm just showing you for the sake of argument, how much value do you have in the house? At the beginning, you put in $20,000 and you have about $20,000 in equity. That makes sense. But in the second year, you put in $20,000, but you already have $26,000 in equity plus that $3,000 or $6,000 in cash flow. That's pretty good. And it just continues to rise. By the time that the house is worth $170, you only have a $68,000 mortgage. It means you have more than $100,000 worth of equity in that house at that 10-year mark. And then if we add up the cash flows plus the equity, we get a figure for total value created. Within 5 years, that $20,000 investment that you made has made you 65. Within 10 years, that $20,000 investment has made you $135,000 of value, which is the cash flow plus what you could make if you sold the house at that 10-year mark. You can also refinance. We can talk about that. So if you hold on to it for 20 years, you have $265,000 non-inflation adjusted dollars in that house, plus you're making about $7,000 a year, for a total cumulative value of $370,000 over 20 years with your $20,000 initial investment. So yes, just having one property can have a powerful impact on your net worth.